Okay, take like 412,000 of this video. So I'm currently packaging this project so that I can actually submit it with my good lord. I do not know what I did to the audio in this, but it is so loud. Oh, hold on. And now we're kind of having a breakdown. There we go. All right. So I guess I'll just re-record this for Project 3 and I'll just suffer with what I did for Project 4, which was I recorded it late at night. My roommate was sleeping. I was trying to be very quiet to be respectful, and instead it was just me whisper talking enough that I had to turn up my own volume to listen to it and then blasted my speakers out when I actually played the game. Um, Again, I played this with my normal like non-headphones and I worked on it without headphones on. So admittedly, this is 100% my fault, but I just didn't register that the sound would be this loud. I guess the other thing is, well, let's see if maybe it's this. Hold on. Can I turn off sound? If I turn off sound. Yeah, maybe. Okay, hold on. Let's see. No, see, that's still super, super loud. What in the world is causing that sound? Anyway, this is a really fun experiment of just watching me try to figure out what I'm doing. Because, let's see. Can I don't really want any. Can I say no? Okay. Anyway, um, I'm gonna play through this. This is gonna be kind of loud, so I'm just gonna warn everybody who might be watching this. And then once I'm done walking through what I did, then I'll kind of explain via just normally kind of scooting around the way I normally do. So we're gonna do this again. So I'm gonna play. Be prepared. It's gonna be loud. Okay, so sorry about that again. I really honestly cannot for the life of me figure out what blueprint is hiding that kind of constant weird ringing sound. But um, we are just going to kind of ignore the fact that I'm packaging, and I'll explain really quickly what I ended up doing for Project 3 and consequently a lot, almost a majority of Project 4. So initially for Project 3, the goal was to, and I believe I've shut it now, so I'm not going to pull it back up. But the first project I was doing was the one that I wanted to complete, which was I don't even know how really to describe it other than I wanted to create a feeling of claustrophobia, um, but in like a nature setting to be like especially uncomfortable. And what I ended up doing was deleting all of the lighting, all of everything, putting a flat plane on there, and then a box that you end up walking into. So once the light's deleted, it was supposed to be completely black. And what I ran into was the fact that instead of creating a sky the way I've created this kind of slight sunset night sky, I ended up deleting everything, so it created a pitch black area. Except everything around that pitch black area that was real looked like this. So super high quality, high contrast, bright lighting. And what I ended up figuring out was basically that I had set all of it up wrong. So I went and started from not really scratch, but kind of restarted and figured out how I was going to set up a level thing. And then once I had created the right atmosphere, which was what I wanted, which was pitch black with stars, I ended up placing that in, and it worked just fine for a little bit. And then once I started with level 2, it kind of had a really fun, unique breakdown where all of the blueprints were bad. From the horror engine, from my own blueprints, everything was wrong. And there was no real reason as to why, other than I had been working on figuring out and understanding how variables work. And that was just a no-no, apparently. So I ended up having to kind of not restart, because the goal was to create a separate level and then learn how to portal between 2 levels, or at least learn how to make a loading level. But I basically had to start on a separate project because all of my blueprints had been corrupted somehow. Now, I don't really know if I need help getting those back. I wasn't really super happy with how that level turned out anyway, and I really like this one a lot. I know it's kind of plain and simple. I had to download a few furniture packs, which took a lot of it was learning how to resize and kind of retexture furniture. It's hard to see because clearly I've created a strange like cross lighting. I don't know how I did that. Anyway, but regardless, this is just a hello. Anyway, this is just kind of a furniture mold and a house mold that I downloaded from, I think it was Unreal, although now that I'm thinking about it, could absolutely be from the horror engine as like a model house. But the wallpaper texture is from horror engine as well, although I've edited it because I wanted it to feel a little more patchy, so I ended up placing 2 next to each other, and so they kind of randomly repeat and unrepeat and all that jazz. The flickering light is in fact not my blueprint, because I really didn't want to bother a 4th time with creating a flickering light blueprint. I mean, at this point I should have it memorized, but I don't. It's fine. Either way, a lot of what Project 3 ended up being was kind of a blend straight into Project 4, because I really ended up kind of getting into the swing of things and forgot that it was only supposed to be about 8 hours. So I had to kind of separate the two. I had an extension on Project 3 just based on some stuff that was going down, and so therefore I guess what I kind of learned was I spent a lot of time configuring the sky and figuring out how to create something that feels really calm from the outside, but then once you get into this, it's kind of scary. There is a ceiling, I'm sure you've noticed that already, but it is a kind of see-through plane, which was on purpose. I wanted to be able to look through it like it was one of the Sims houses, you know, in Sims. We all know that. Anyway, but the other thing I learned about, which was really, really fun, was kind of deconstructing blueprints that were previously already built. So this door is built inside Unreal's horror engine. It's not technically Unreal's, but Unreal has it for free, and you can use it and download it and learn all of the fun stuff I've been learning. But basically what I did was I deconstructed this by copying it, breaking it apart, and kind of learning how to understand a lot of this. Now, some of the more complicated stuff I ended up kind of learning, which these things like HM, check interaction instance, those are a little more complicated than the things I ended up working on. But what I did learn is how branches work, how variables work, and how things like select target and select blank and select other things and get world location and all that jazz. That is really what I ended up learning, which took a lot of time in this one. And then once I ended up having enough knowledge, I moved on to Project 4, which was these portals. And I've already gone through Project 4 enough, but I think I'm going to add it right here, or not add it, but just kind of explain a little bit of what I ended up doing for Project 4, just because for some reason OBS decided to kind of hate me and personally go against what I was doing. So as you can see, the image is sideways, but when we played the game earlier, the image was not sideways. I can't explain to you why that is. I figured this out for the most part watching a bunch of different tutorials and kind of hammering them all together. Basically what I did was I created a portal instance, which was just an actor, and then I added a door frame that I pulled directly from Unreal's or Horror Engine's like catalog of architecture. I added a portal mesh, which is a flat plane, and then a portal view, which is its own scene capture component, and then an arrow to tell me exactly what direction we will be facing. The camera is kind of inside the door, which is on purpose so that we step right out into it. Now I'll go to the really fun thing, which is what I'm really proud of, is my open level blueprint. Now, again, I was following a lot of separate tutorials, so this took a lot of trial and error of kind of understanding that, not unlike coding, which is one of the languages, unfortunately, that I really just do not get. I honestly struggled a lot with learning and kind of understanding and accepting, really, that everyone programs differently and everyone works with blueprints differently. And so I just had to kind of figure out a person that worked for me and a tutorial that ended up working for me, and then kind of just accepting the fact that it's going to be a lot of hit or miss, like, objects and hit or miss events. And so therefore, we separated into Portal 2. We basically have them get world location, which creates a default scene route, and then we basically use vector subtraction and vector addition to keep it from kind of imploding on itself, which is a very cut and dry version of what I'm talking about, but it makes it a little easier to, you know, view. Also, I'm sorry if it's a little shaky and weird. I normally have my mouse on me, and I do not, which is why I couldn't access or scroll through and show you the items that I've picked up. You need a middle mouse button, and I do not, in fact, have one of those. I'm going to try to cut this a little short because I know I'm now kind of rambling, but basically, this was kind of the same thing. It was basically learning about how infinite loops are created, and Unreal is super, super smart, and it'll stop you from actually getting stuck in an infinite loop unless that's intended by the game, which then in case is a little more complicated. But when you set this up, it basically tells itself that it can teleport, and then once you get to the other portal, you have the same thing set up, which is to say it can teleport. And so then you'll just be teleporting forever. And so basically, right before you teleport, this branch creates a condition, which is can teleport, and says that that's true, but then it goes through its own fun set value that says it can't. And then it goes right back into the set actor location, it teleports you, and then it delays, and then it tells you that you can, in fact. So if you were to try to go back about faster than a half second, which I think is kind of impossible, you wouldn't be able to teleport back because it would say that you can't in order to keep you from getting stuck in a constant loop. I was really excited about the fact that I named these Portal 1 and Portal 2 because those are some pretty good games that I've never played but watched a lot of. But yeah, so this project may not look like a lot because Project 4 ended up kind of being what I really focused on, but because it was a huge span of almost 16 hours worth of work that I kind of combined into these two projects, I really just want to say that blueprinting has always been really hard. I've never really understood it. I've been in this track for almost 2 years now, and not once have I gotten it to a point where I was excited to talk about what I had blueprinted. And now with the tutorials and kind of with how these people have explained everything, I kind of get it in a way that I hadn't before, and that's super, super exciting. Looking back, I can go through stuff now and kind of understand it, or at least wing it enough that if I don't figure it out, I can find the right resources and know what to ask. But yeah, as limited as this project seems because of how Project 4 took up a lot of it, which is kind of the portals, I'm really excited to kind of finally get it and understand, because coding's really never been a language I can get or understand, and now this stuff makes sense, and that's incredibly exciting as a person who is kind of scared that it would never work. But yeah, as weirdly sappy as that was, I'm gonna end it now. But yeah, so this is my Project 3 and kind of Project 4, so that my professor can kind of absorb some of this information instead of just hearing the incredibly loud level. But anyway, thank you for watching.